Welcome back to Jersey Matters. As promised, we're going to talk about politics, and there's nobody better to talk politics with than Senator Joe Kyrillos, former senator, but you keep the title as senator. He's an expert on New Jersey politics, an expert on national politics, and you have a bridge named after him.
Thank you very much. It was a big honor when that happened.
Where's the bridge?
Thank you. It's Red Bank and Middletown. Connects the two towns along West Front Street. So if you get off of Garden State Parkway 109, you come into Red Bank, you'll come over a really pretty bridge, and it was very humbling and a big honor when it was dedicated this summer.
Well, congratulations. Let's
Thanks,
talk
Larry.
politics now. I want to talk New Jersey politics and national politics, because in national politics, it was really a split decision. Jersey was not. Jersey became bluer. What does that mean?
Well, you know, there are some red pockets in New Jersey, right? Some red counties, some red congressional districts, or formerly so. And I think 4 of them now have flipped from Republican to Democrat. And there's something going on in the country. There's a polarizing atmosphere throughout all of America, and the red states are getting redder. The blue places are getting bluer, and the pockets of red are turning blue for at least for the moment. So I think it's a troubling time, Larry, for the country, because there's so much that we need to get done, we're not getting done. There are some exceptions. The tax reform bill of last year was a big deal, and it has really propelled the economy.
But that was with the Republican Congress and the Republican House.
Well,
and you don't have that anymore.
They did together. Well, now I don't know how these guys are going to get along in Washington, D.C. There are some things they can work together on. Immigration, I think they can, have a more secure border and do something for the Dreamers. On infrastructure, we've got road problems and bridge problems. We've got to build a big tunnel to parallel the Lincoln Tunnel here in New York, New Jersey. So there are things they can do, and it should be our hope that we're not just doing investigations on income taxes or double teaming on Mueller Russian probes and the like, and things that ought to be looked at should be looked at. But let's keep that in perspective, and let's move the country forward and get the rhetoric down, get the heat down.
Well, everything you said ties into one theme. You started with the blue states are getting bluer and the red states are getting redder.
Yeah,
doesn't that mean that the politicians have to play more to their bases, and so they're not going to compromise?
That's the problem with this era. We are producing people through party primaries that are way to the left. I mean, these so-called progressive Democrats are a different breed of Democrat. They're not the Democrats that were constructive with me in the state legislature for the 30 years I was there. They're not, as I call them, Jack Kennedy Democrats or even FDR Democrats or even Bill Clinton Democrats. They're really, way to the left. And we have Republicans that are very conservative, but I don't think, in my opinion, I'm a Republican, as ideological as the left is on its side. But the tone, the rhetoric, the style is extreme, and so some people don't like it. Some people don't like the president's style, which is a unique style, obviously, and obviously in places like New Jersey, many people were turned off, and that's why good friends of mine like Congressman Lance lost, and Tom MacArthur in a close race. The old Frelinghuysen district, Jay Weber lost, and so Republicans need to build better, broader coalitions, and I think the president's going to have to as well, and the Democrats have to come to the middle too. We'll all be more prosperous and more productive if they do. Florida, Georgia, squeaky tight races. Texas, where Beto lost against Cruz. If they had produced a more moderate person, or if Beto had been more mainstream, he'd have won that race. A lot of people don't like Ted Cruz.
The states you mentioned shouldn't be the concern, though, for Republicans, should they? The states would be Pennsylvania, which became bluer, and Wisconsin, which became a little bit bluer. Scott Walker lost.
Yeah.
Michigan became bluer.
Those are swing places.
That's when Trump won his election.
And it wasn't a good year for Republicans there. But in places like Florida and Georgia, shouldn't be close for our side. So, listen, it was a mixed bag. I will say this, and this should be said, and it's fair to say it. President Trump and Republicans beat historical standards. It is always the case, I think in the last 21 midterms, so that's well over 40 years, that the president's party loses a lot of seats, and it's 30 plus seats. Republicans did better this time. They've almost never gained seats in the U.S. Senate, and we had 3 pickups.
No, as I said, it was
it's very nuanced.
It's a split decision. There's no question. Nationally, it's a split decision.
That's right.
You said something else that was pretty fascinating, and that is that you don't believe. Even though on the Democratic side, they're born of geography of these blue districts and they're becoming more ideologues, where the Republicans are not. Is Donald Trump the reason for that? It's his party, isn't it?
I'm not saying that there's not a more conservative brand of republicanism. There is. In my opinion,
Trump's not.
I don't think that is as ideologically extreme as I see in this new progressive left. And by the way, I think the same thing from a media point of view. Unfortunately now we got 3 cable networks, 3 principal ones. CNN, MSNBC, I think are more left today than Fox is right, by a lot. So that's feeding things out there. It's feeding opinion. It's feeding attitudes, and it's producing an electorate depending on your flavor, where you're embracing one side, and we're missing that middle piece, and that's where the action is. That's how we're gonna produce some important outcomes for the states and for the country.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, because, and I'm talking about the media, because now you can get news that allows you to be closed-minded, that plays into your own bias. I just saw an ad on TV for something called some news app. It says news from both sides.
That's interesting.
There shouldn't be both sides when it comes to the news. Something is factual or it's not.
There's
factual.
one side, and listen, there's one country. We ought to put the country first, the national interest first. I always wanted to conduct myself as a state senator in terms of our state, our country, Republican politics. I loved all the people I associated with and my supporters out there, and the rallies were fun, but it was the mechanism for how we choose leaders so that we can then go out and govern the state, govern the country in the best possible way. But you've got a brand of people out there now that at least seem party first, and they may not admit that to themselves, but and I don't believe that they feel that way, but their actions, the way they're conducting themselves, their lack of reaching out and trying to create a consensus produces not a country first product, and so that's a problem. And
no, it's
so
become very tribal.
And we got to fix things.
Absolutely.
We got to fix it. This is a great country, and there's a lot more to do.
I wanted to ask you one other question, very quickly. In a midterm election, many times, especially when there's a turnover, political stars are born. Do you see one? Because I'm looking at Mikey Sherrill.
Yeah, well, listen, I've never met her. She's an impressive person, right? Annapolis Navy person and a mom and a prosecutor, and so I've never met her, but she has the capacity to be the kind of person that could work with like-minded Republicans and Democrats and produce for the country. Listen, President Trump is a mega star. I don't want to discount his contributions to the country. Got a different style than mine. I don't like it when he's cranked up, and I think he'd be better off, and America would be better off if he could find a way to deepen that coalition, broaden that coalition. But he knows how to connect with people, and in a way that I've never seen. Love watching him on the tube. Hugely entertaining. But he's got to find the way to branch out, and the red states in and of themselves, that's a very tough way to run another election, because there's no margin for error. There's no margin for error. So,
as always,
Larry, thank you.
Thank you so
A lot
much.
of
I
fun.
appreciate it. Senator Joe Kyrillos. We're coming right back after this. When Jersey Matters comes back, we want to take you to a moving tribute for a war veteran by one local municipality on Veterans Day.